The S&P 500 notches a record high as Wall Street closes higher in a central bank action. Minutes from the Fed's January meeting suggest inflation needs to ease further before further rate cuts can be undertaken. While China's PBOC keeps lending rates unchanged, Asian markets open largely lower, with GIFT Nifty indicating a negative start for the D Street. Gold continues to shine as prices hit a record high, about $2,500 an ounce on safe haven buying. Brent crude trades at near weekly highs at around $76 a barrel. Speaking to Fox News, U.S. President Donald Trump details his conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where he insisted on reciprocal tariffs on India. In the same interview, Tesla chief Elon Musk emphasizes on India's high import duties on automobiles, and this comes even as sources suggest that Tesla is eyeing an entry into the Indian market. The RBI State of the Economy Bulletin indicates that the Indian economy continues to grow at a steady pace. The report also points to a pickup in economic momentum in the second half of FY25 and expects a resurgence in the urban and rural demand. The BJP selects first-time MLA Rekha Gupta to be the new Chief Minister of Delhi. She will become the fourth woman to lead the Delhi government and will be sworn in this afternoon. Hello, good morning. You've tuned into CNBC TV 18. You're watching Power Breakfast with me, Veni Motiwala. While we did see that U.S. markets ended in the green, Asian markets not indicating that story this morning. Asian markets, all of them have opened up in the red today. Look at the Taiwan index down 0.5%. Hang Seng is trading with cuts of 1.3% in trade, while we also have Nikkei, ASX 200, Shanghai, all of them today are trading in the red. So not much of an excitement there. Everyone is worried about Trump tariff threats, continuous comments coming in on that front, and that is denting the sentiments of the market. Let's look at the Nifty implied open, because that is also suggesting a downtick. Now down 82 points. Just a few minutes ago, it was down 69 points, now 82 points. So we are seeing a sharper cut coming in for the Indian markets today. We're not expecting a green on the screens today. That's the indication coming in from the Nifty implied open for the Indian markets. Not a pretty picture that we're expecting this Thursday morning. But like I was saying, U.S. markets, Wall Street ended higher after recording and recovering from those lows of the day. And despite the FOMC meeting from the last Fed minutes is indicating and revealing that the Federal Reserve might hold rates for a while from now. Looking at the S&P 500, recorded another winning session, hitting all-time high levels, ending the day 15 points higher, while Dow Jones closed 71 points higher and Nasdaq ended 14 points higher. Let's go across to CNBC's Angelica Peebles, who's here to tell us and give us a wrap on what happened on Wall Street.
U.S. markets were flat across the major indexes in Wednesday trading, but the S&P managing to hit another all-time high. The Dow up 71 points, the S&P 500 up 15 points, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq up 15 points. Apple on Wednesday announced a new iPhone model priced lower than the primary smartphones it sells. The new iPhone 16e will retail for $599 when it goes on sale later this month. It will also have an updated processor, which means it will support AI, known as Apple Intelligence, as well as being able to run all the same apps and games that more expensive iPhones use. And Nikola, the zero-emissions truck maker, which at its peak had a bigger market value than Ford, filed for bankruptcy protection Wednesday, saying it will wind down its business through the auction and sale of assets. Nikola has endured several issues over the past few years, including its former chairman and CEO Trevor Milton being convicted in 2022 of wire and securities fraud for misleading investors about the company's operations and zero-emission technology. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back to you in Mumbai.
Thank you so much for that. Now let's move on. And the Federal Reserve released the minutes of the latest FOMC meeting, and the officials emphasized that additional evidence of continued disinflation would be needed to support the view that inflation was returning sustainably to the 2% mark. Let's go across to CNBC's Steve Leisman, who's here to give us the highlights from this.
Fed officials making clear in the minutes to the January meeting that they're on hold, as you say, awaiting clarity on the outlook for inflation and new policies from the Trump administration. The minute saying the Fed is, quote, well positioned to take time to assess the evolving outlook before adjusting rates. They want to see further progress on inflation before they make any changes, as long, by the way, as the unemployment rate doesn't deteriorate, the minute said. Minutes saying that specifically a, quote, high degree of uncertainty made it appropriate for the committee to take a careful approach, and that changes to trade and immigration policy have the potential to hinder the disinflationary process. According to the minutes, business contacts are telling the Fed they would, quote, attempt to pass on to consumers higher input costs arising from potential tariffs, and that Fed government changes were increasing their own uncertainty, federal government policies, that is. But business contacts also are optimistic about deregulation and tax policy that could be coming from the administration. So the message seems to be it's a hard stop for now on rate cuts and maybe for several months to come. Scott, I thought it was a bit of a harder stop than I had expected, given how I thought Fed Chair Powell described the meeting.
And JP Morgan Wealth Management's head of investment strategy, Elise Ozenbo, says that Fed holding rate cuts might not affect the stock market as much. Listen in.
You saw the hemming and hawing in the market as we kind of started to price those cuts out since the start of the year. I think the bigger conversation and questions are with bond investors. I mean, what you've seen in the 10-year since the Fed started cutting kind of defies the historical norm in terms of that floating higher. And so we've been calling for kind of an active go anywhere approach to the fixed income landscape that I think will continue to serve investors well in the year ahead.
And former St. Louis Federal Reserve President James Bullard says that inflation is on a declining path. Listen to what he had to say.
Since I think on a path to continue to decline, it looks like year over year core PCE will decline when it's announced. And so I think that the committee's in very good shape here. There's a little bit of risk that inflation will turn around and go higher. I'm only putting 20% on that right now. Markets are a little bit concerned about that, and that's weighing on things a little bit. But the baseline case, I think, is intact. I don't think the committee has to do anything probably before June here.
Okay, that's all the global market action that we have for you all this morning. But how will all this be impacting our Indian markets? We have our team of research who's joining in with us to set us up for trade, as well as tell you which are the important stocks to watch out for in today's trading session. First up, we have Vamakshi, who's here to tell us what are we looking out for in the market, what is the trade setup looking like. Good morning, Vamakshi.
Well, good morning, Vinny. You know, yesterday was all about stock-specific action. When we look at the Nifty, it managed to bounce back from the 22,800 odd levels. It briefly managed to cross the 23,000 mark, but failed to sustain above it for the third consecutive session. At the end of the day, Nifty closed flat with a mild negative bias. Nifty Bank, on the other hand, after a long wait, saw a significant gain. In fact, most of the banking heavyweight stocks ended near the day's highest point. The broader market indices were the star of the show yesterday. They continue to outperform, with the mid-cap index gaining close to 1.5%, and Nifty small cap was also up more than 2%. But like I mentioned before, it was a stock-specific action day. We had themes like railway as well as defense that were in focus. All of these counters saw very big moves, which includes RVNL, Mascow Dock, GRSC as well as Zentech. Swiggy and Zomato were some other counters that were also a buzz yesterday. Stocks were up anywhere between 5 to 8%, as you can see on your screen. Capital market themes were also a buzz yesterday. BSE gained nearly 8% on the back of very strong volumes. Angel One was another counter that was in focus. As far as the US markets are concerned, they on the other hand had a very good run. S&P 500 made a fresh record high, and all three indices ended in the green. As far as the day today is concerned, we'll be keeping an eye out on the Nifty weekly expiry. We'll also be keeping an eye out on CIE Automotive, because the company is set to report its Q3 numbers. As far as key levels are concerned, keep an eye out on the 22,800 mark. That is an important support zone, and 23,000 is an important resistance zone. As far as the GIFT Nifty is concerned, it is indicating a negative start to the trading session today.
Okay, Vamakshi, thank you so much for that. But let's move on and look at the important stocks to watch out for in today's trading session. First up, we have Bharat Forge. The company's arm, Kalyani Strategic Systems, has signed a letter of intent with EM General USA for supply of cannons to the US. Moving on, we have Arcade Developers that will also be in focus because they've signed a project of developing some project land, which is around 740 crores in Malad West. So, good one coming in for the company. India Glycols, they've won an order of around 1,264 crores. This is to supply 180.6 milliliter ethanol to OMCs. So, watch out for that one. Mahindra & Mahindra Group has signed and partnered with Anduril, a partner, to develop autonomous maritime systems as well as AI counter UAS tech. So, that will be an important one for M&M Group. We also have Wadi Energies that's in focus as well. They've gotten an order to supply 362.5 MWP solar modules. Keep an eye on that. Signed DLM has announced the appointment of Mr. Banerjee as the CEO of the company and ED of the company. So keep an eye on that one. It's an important one for the company there. And Orchid Pharma, US FDA observations is what they've received for the API Tamil Nadu plant, which is an important one. And RITES has signed an MOU, which could keep the stock in focus. But that's the stocks to watch out for. Let's go across to Mangalam, who's here to tell us what is the important cues coming in the world of F&O.
Well, if you look at the markets yesterday, we had the Nifty, which was powered by the Nifty Bank. The Nifty IT actually kept a bit of a cut on the frontline index, though the implied open is suggesting a 100-point cut, and that would make it right close to yesterday's low when it opens. The good part about yesterday's trading session and the previous three trading sessions was the Nifty was making slightly higher lows. So if you look at it, on Feb 17, the low on the Nifty was 22,725. Then that inched slightly higher to 22,800 and now 22,815 itself. The broader markets outperformed, and that was the key positive takeaway yesterday. Mid-cap index and the small-cap index, both of them put in decent gains after a big drubbing that we've seen earlier itself. The Nifty Bank itself closed above the 20-day moving average. The FII selling was there, but it was lower than what we've seen earlier. The average was close to around 3,000, 4,000 odd crores earlier, but now it's come down to sub 2,000 crores, so that's a positive too. So the Nifty Bank, which closed above the 20-day moving average of 49,418, kept the FIIs positive on that. So if you look at the FII action in index futures, they net bought about 183 crores, but they sold about 400 crores in the Nifty futures and bought 355 crores in Nifty Bank futures. So that was a big positive because they are playing long Nifty Bank and short Nifty itself. There's still 16% long in index futures, 84% short. Today is a Thursday, which implies it's weekly options expiry for the Nifty. 22,800 put, very active, and the 23,000 call, equally active as well. Were we to cross the 23,050 mark, then maybe we can make an excursion to a 23,100. But as of now, the Nifty is positioned for that 22,750 to 23,050 range on the Nifty itself. The 20-day moving average on the Nifty still remains elusive. A lot of long positions added on BSE yesterday and some shots covered on Zomato. Swiggy did well in yesterday's trading session too. So let's see where they go from here.
Okay, Mangalam, thank you so much for that. Important cues in the world of F&O. That's what we're watching out for. On that note, let's just step into a very short break. Up next, you have US President Donald Trump and Elon Musk again criticize India's high tariff regime. More on the story on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Let's move on. And the Reserve Bank of India, in its monthly bulletin titled State of the Economy, has stated that the high-frequency indicators like auto sales, air traffic, steel consumption, GST, eBay bills are pointing towards a sequential pickup in momentum of the economic activity during the second half of the fiscal 2024-2025 and expect the same to sustain moving forward. It, however, also stated that the stronger dollar driven by the resilience of the US economy and the trade policies could exacerbate the capital outflows of emerging markets, pushing the risk premiums higher and intensifying external vulnerabilities. Now, moving on, Tata Digital is looking to raise $300 million for its online pharma arm, that is Tata 1mg. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the funds will be used to ramp up offline presence and faster deliveries. Rachna is here to give us more details on this one.
Well, we are picking up an exclusive on Tata Digital's latest fundraising plans. Sources have told CNBC TV 18 that Tata Digital is looking to raise $300 million for its digital health platform, that is Tata 1mg, as they are looking to expand its operations. Now, the focus is on strengthening Tata 1mg's omni-channel strategy with an emphasis on offline expansion and quicker deliveries. Currently, Tata 1mg delivers within 4 to 5 hours in select locations, and that's primarily in Delhi NCR, and also offers an express delivery option for certain products within 30 minutes. We also understand that Citibank has been roped in to manage this fundraise. Tata Digital holds about a majority, that's about 63% stake in Tata 1mg, and Tata 1mg has previously secured investments from major firms like Sequoia Capital, Intel Capital, Omidyar Network, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The company was last valued at $1.25 billion in 2022, and this fresh funding is expected to strengthen its position in the digital healthcare space amid growing competition. Now, CNBC TV 18 has reached out to Tata 1mg for a response, and we will update you as soon as we hear from them. Back to you.
Thanks so much for that. But let's move on. And US President Donald Trump, during a joint television interview with Elon Musk on Fox News, said that he made it clear to Prime Minister Narendra Modi that India will not be spared from the reciprocal tariffs. Donald Trump also said that it is unfair to expect Tesla and Elon Musk to build a factory in India to avoid tariffs. Trump said that he told Prime Minister Modi that the US will charge whatever India charges. Trump also called out India's high duty on cars during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States last week, but agreed to work towards an early trade deal and resolve their standoff over tariff. Trump claimed that India charges the highest tariffs in the world and the import duty is 100% for cars. And in other news, the BJP has named Rekha Gupta as Delhi's new chief minister. The first-time MLA from Shalimar Bagh will take oath later this afternoon in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Minister Amit Shah, along with other union ministers, and NDA chief minister at the Ramelia Maidan in New Delhi. She will become the fourth woman chief minister in the capital. On that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. Up next, we'll tell you what's happening in the world of commodities, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Let's move on. And relations between the United States and Ukraine worsen following Ukrainian President Zelensky's comments, which suggested that US President Donald Trump was living in a Russian disinformation bubble. The United States president has been hit back, calling Zelensky a dictator who has not held elections. And in a post on Truth Social, Donald Trump also said that Zelensky needed to act fast or he would not have a country left. He added that Zelensky had done a terrible job and accused the Ukrainian president of benefiting from continuing the US financial and military support. Okay, on that note, let's go across to Manisha Gupta, who's waiting by to tell us what's happening in the world of commodities this morning. Good morning, Manisha. What are you looking at here today?
Thank you for that, Vinny. I'm looking at the crude oil prices, which are holding firm on supply disruptions in U.S. and Russia. U.S. because of the core snap, and Russia because of a drone attack on their pump station there. But apart from that, the markets are looking for the U.S. crude inventories, which the expectation is that have surged for a fourth straight week. That could be keeping the prices in check. And apart from that, the Russia and U.S. engaging in diplomatic talks to end Ukraine war is yet another thing that the street is waiting for in sense of some headlines. But onto the metal prices then, and we are looking at some more profit taking continuing into this space, while gold prices continue to hold near all-time highs. Silver has seen a percentage point of decline. Copper prices extending decline from its 7-month highs. There is some more decline that we are seeing in iron ore and steel and zinc prices yet again today.
Okay, Manisha, thank you so much for that. But with that, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, your Bazaar Morning Call.